I am Sean Connors, and this is the Fan Pub. Welcome to the Sunday show. This is week 5. All weeks now start getting more and more critical for teams, depending on your current situation. If you're 0-4, you should have been trading throughout this week. Try and do everything you can, your power, to get back into it and redraft. If it's Dynasty, you got to. And there are a lot of questions to do with players that will come out from this week. So I suppose, as always with the show, we'll start with the Thursday night game, Rams game. I've just heard news coming through actually about Devin Singletary, which is definitely going to affect one of my lineups. I've heard now he's not playing tonight, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, Thursday night game, being a Rams fan, disappointing result against Seattle, but great game for fantasy. I mean, good result for Seattle as well. Fantasy implications are pretty huge from that. I had one team where actually I started 4 players and they picked up 78 fantasy points from that game, so it gives you an idea of this kind of the offensive shows. Excuse me, that were on call that night. It was pretty awesome, to be honest with you. So if you had any of those players, you're probably looking back and looking at your teams and thinking, wow, you know, how well you've done that week. So yeah, I got off to a good start in a couple of leagues. I think this is the kind of week that it gets a bit more interesting. I mean, I've got a couple of teams that are really struggling, and some teams are really flying. So, and a few in the middle. So if your team moves to 3-2 this week, which is the key, really, you've kind of bought yourself, 3 weeks to find one win, and if you do that, then you go to 4-4. So it's quite a classic. It's quite an important week this for a lot of teams. So, we'll see how it plays out. Thank you for watching. Obviously, this is your show. Do throw your questions in. We've only been rolling for a couple. No, it's fine. Oh, we've got a few problems here. Let's hope that that's running. I think it's live. That was very weird. The feed just dropped out. I've no idea why, so apologies for that. We did have somebody in the room watching. Yeah, so we'll come back, recount a few things. So we were talking about Thursday night game. Great ramification for fantasy. A lot of high scoring from the Rams-Seattle game. Disappointing as a Rams fan, but from fantasy perspective, fantastic. Most of my players performed on the Thursday night, and I had one team that scored 78 points from 4 players, which was absolutely fantastic. So looks like a big score ahead for this week. So anyway, I suppose where we better pick up really is just look at some of the ramifications. I was going to talk about Devin Singletary, Sunday's your lineouts accordingly. That's going to impact me as I come off the show. That's for sure. I'm going to have to quickly rejig a few teams. Shame, because we still haven't seen the best of him in 3 weeks now. Those hamstrings can be a real pain. Let's hope that this is the end of it and he comes back, because he was looking exciting. It'd be really disappointing if we don't get a good look at him this year. Really, really disappointing. Anyway, let's have a little look at this week's games, and let's give you a few predictions for this week. Anyway, so the Bears play Raiders here in London. I'm quite excited actually about the game, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Bears play. I'm not there at the show this week. If I was there, I wouldn't be able to do this show, but I will be at future games, that's for sure. I do think the Bears will easily win that. You've got the Bills playing the Titans. I think the Bills showed last week against the Patriots why they are in the position they're in and why they're doing so well. It's an exciting team. I really do want to see Singletary with the Bills. I think that makes them more explosive. But they held their own against the Patriots. They're a little unlucky, really, but that's just the nature of the way it is. I think the Bills can bounce back this week against the Titans. Then we have the Bucs versus the Saints. A lot of people will predict that the Bucs should win this week, but I'm going to go the opposite way. I think the Saints will win this one. It up, doesn't it? Had a few problems tonight. Sorry about that. Hopefully reconnected. Most odd. Yeah, definitely having some issues with the live feed tonight. So do bear that in mind. Do apologise for those that are there. Thank you for Mark for saying that. It's very kind of you. Yeah, so those are the first 3 bits of first 3 game matchups. Just going to come to a few things, bits of information you may or may not know. With no particular order, let's cover them off. Julian Edelman is cleared to play week 5 from a chest injury. Not quite sure really what to make of New England, really. I mean, they've got such an easy schedule. Obviously, they're ramping and rolling away with it. Edelman, it's hard to predict the big games where they're going to come from. I think this week is a bit of a fade for me, for him. I've only got him in one team, and I'm to be honest, I'm rolling the dice elsewhere, to be honest with you, this week. We'll see how it plays out. I think later on there are good stretches for him to be used. Let's come to Gordon and Eckler. It's going to be probably a 50-50 split for this week, to be perfectly honest with you, in fantasy. And, I don't think there's any reason why you don't start both, if I'm totally honest with you. I think both can have good roles tonight. And it'll depend a little bit on the game script. I mean, if you look at a matchup, it's a good matchup. It's an interesting matchup. They played, I believe it's Denver this week. Watch them, yeah, Broncos versus Chargers. I fancy the Chargers in it, if I'm honest, and I think Melvin Gordon coming back is great. So if you've got Melvin Gordon, it's basically full steam ahead, start the engines, let's roll, to be perfectly honest with you. Let's go for it. Tyrell Williams, I don't expect to play tonight. They've already said he's a long shot before any information is rolled out tonight. I don't think he's going to suit up. I certainly don't think he's going to play until we get any more confirmation on that. And I think even if he was going to play, I probably would fade him tonight. I'm a little bit concerned about these players coming back off some of these injuries. We're seeing this, with my old friend Devin Singletary. They said he potentially could have played last week. A week later, now he's not playing again. So I think when you get a situation like this, you have to fade until they've had a full week of practice, really. There's no point going anywhere else. Stefan Diggs is scheduled to play. There was a lot of talk in the week about him being traded. That's kind of surprised me. Yeah, you can't blame him for not working, is it?